My name is Lauren Pickering, and my assignment is my history as a social studies learner. So first I want to start off with my school connections. First I want to actually talk about elementary school. I remember growing up in elementary school, around Thanksgiving time, we decided to do an assignment based on Native Americans, and we had a Native American lunch and got to experience foods that they usually ate around that time. And we all made Native American hats and vests. So we got to wear the hats and the vests during our lunch. We made them a day before. Another thing I would like to talk about is Christopher Columbus. I just remember growing up in elementary school, I learned a lot about Christopher Columbus, who he was, what he was known for, what he discovered. I just remember learning a lot about him. Next, I want to move on to middle school. Elementary school actually was probably the most fun time I had learning about history because it was all fun. It was like you were learning new stuff. Middle school, it all became about facts and knowing the facts. And ever since then, middle school, high school, and my undergraduate courses in college, I took my history courses at Anne Arundel Community College, and all the courses all had strict memorization. You had to know specific dates, you had to know specific times. So growing up, I didn't like history that much. To me, it wasn't helpful. It wasn't something I was interested in because of the teacher's techniques in the classroom. For high school, I want to talk about Black History Month, which is in February. I want to talk about that because I went to a majority African American college or high school, sorry, and we actually went through and talked about Black History Month and got to learn a lot about different people that they talked about during that month. And we had a Black History Month service and a seminar and a speech, and we had different people come and talk to us. It was eye-opening to me because for me, I went through elementary and middle school going to a majority white school, and then went to a majority African American school for high school, and I loved it. It was very nice. The next I would like to talk about is actually the elections. I believe it was my junior year. I think it was my junior year in high school, or maybe it was my sophomore year. Either sophomore or junior, I can't remember. In high school, we had the elections going on where it was Obama's first term. And I just remember it was the first African American president. So being at that school, it was huge for us. It was huge for everyone that was at that school. A lot of people related. They were all like, oh, this is awesome. It's our first African American president. I just remember everything I learned, and it became because of how aware everyone else was of the elections in the school and how excited everyone else was, like the students and the teachers. Because of that, it made me more aware and like wanting to learn about the elections. So actually during that, we had actually mock debates, and that was probably the most fun I had throughout high school with anything history related. And my teacher was great. He assigned us a role, so we didn't get to pick which side we wanted to choose and argue, but he gave us a role, and we had to come up with facts and come up with talking points and we had to think on the spot of how to react to other people's thoughts and facts as well. And I really liked that. Now, my undergrad courses at Anne Arundel Community College, there was one course that my teacher taught from a chapter book, and that was very not fun. He was really, I don't want to say a bad teacher, but he was a difficult teacher to learn from. He didn't provide us with the information that we needed to know. He was more about facts and you need to know this and you need to know that, but he never explained the process of anything to us. So for me, it was very hard to become a liking to his class. There was another class I took that was like more of a geography type class, and I really liked that. I don't know, for me, I'm not good at memorization. I'm not good with dates or anything, but for me, the whole process of trying to figure out where each country is, where each state is, where the countries are in the world, where the continents are, that was really cool for me to know. And honestly, I don't remember majority of it. If you asked me where a country was, I might not be able to tell you what continent it is, but I will be able to tell you maybe what it's around or a few things it's around. I just really like that course, but I wish it was broken up into different time periods because the way it was set up, it was really hard to keep, it was really hard to keep focused and try and learn the material to keep longer than just for the test. So I wish that was a longer course, actually. Some of my personal connections have to do with family. My grandfather on my mom's side loves history. He loves anything history related. He's very enthusiastic about learning and teaching any aspect of social studies. He's not a teacher. He used to be a football coach, but he just loves history. He loves watching the news. He watches the news every day around elections time. He always has something to say. And he was the one that actually helped me with my high school and college history classes because he knew what he was talking about. He was the one that actually taught me. And that just says a lot about history and who he is. Like, he keeps in touch with current events, and he just really likes history a lot. So growing up with him around, that was really helpful because I got to learn about the wars. I got to learn about everything that's happened in the past. Whenever I have a question about anything history related, especially with myself now, once I became over 18 and now I'm 22, once that happened, I wanted to know about the elections. I wanted to know who do I vote for, but not based on who he would vote for. I want to know what's the pros and cons of each person to vote for. And he was very helpful when I had to do that. So he has been helpful in my life with any history classes I've ever taken, and his excitement and his understanding and knowledge of the history makes me like history even more. Another thing I want to talk about for a personal connection is actually an event that took place. I remember September 11th like it was yesterday. I woke up and I went to school, and I was maybe at school. Now my mother, she didn't like us missing school. However, I had a dentist appointment that day, so what she actually did was she dropped me off at school. I was only there for about 30 minutes, and just so I wouldn't get a late slip, she would come and pick me up. So she came and picked me up. We went to the doctor's office that morning, or the dentist office that morning, and while we were waiting in the waiting room, there was this little TV, and it was like maybe this small, and I just remember everyone saying, turn on the news, you have to watch this, and everyone started crying, everyone started screaming, and they were hysterical, and I was in 4th grade at the time, so I was really unsure what was happening, what was going on. I didn't understand anything. And I just remember we all crowded around that little TV. There was probably 20 to 30 people between the people that worked there and all the patients that were there. I just remember crowding around the little TV and watching the Twin Towers going up in flames. And to me, that was just very sad, very scary to watch. My dad's a police officer, and I was worried at that time that he would have to leave and go help. So it was just really something that I remember, and I always remember it. Even if it happened 100 years ago, I think I would still remember exactly what happened that day, just because of how traumatic and how crazy it was, everything that happened. So I remember that day. I remember my mom was like, okay, I know what's going on. So she actually dropped me back off at school, which I thought was a little weird, but she dropped me back off at school, and I remember all my friends were asking what happened, and I was one of the ones that was telling them. I asked my teacher if I could tell the class what I saw on the TV while I was at the dentist appointment. They said, yeah, you can tell, but don't start crying, don't get emotional, try your best to stay calm. We want all our students to stay calm. So I remember we all got picked up later on that day. My mom had to go run an errand, and then she came back and picked us all up, my sister and I. Another thing I would like to talk about is a historical trip I've taken. Actually, just recently I went to Mount Vernon. It was one of my uncle's dreams to go to Mount Vernon. He wanted to go there as a family trip for a while, and then he just recently passed away, and one of his dreams was to go to Mount Vernon with his family. So after he passed away, we decided, okay, we want to do something as a family. How can we honor him? So we decided to visit Mount Vernon one day while my family was in town from Ohio. And there were about 25 of us that went. And it was amazing. Like, I thought the place was beautiful. We got to visit George Washington's home and got a tour of his home. And because we went during the holiday season, they had the third level opened up, which was, it was amazing to see. We got to see like the ventilation system in the house and all the paintings. Some of the paintings in the house were ones that have been there ever since he was alive. Other ones are new and redone. We got to see where George Washington was buried, first his original site and now where him and Martha are married. And we also got to we also learned about the history of George Washington. So I went with a bunch of my cousins, and I am the second oldest of 15 cousins, and I'm 22, my older sister's 23, and then the youngest one is 5 years old. So we had a whole range of cousins that all went, and we were all excited to go. It was really cool to see the blacksmiths working and see what they did during that time. We actually learned how and where George and Martha Washington died, which to me that was just very cool. That's it for personal connections. Now I'm going to go into the other impressions about myself as a history learner. So about being, whether I was good or bad at social studies, I thought growing up that I was a bad learner at social studies. I really had difficulty memorizing things. So whether it was the dates, the people's names. I'm more of a concept type of person. I need to understand the concept, and once I understand that, then I can start remembering like the names of who went along with it. But it was really difficult for me to understand the strict details that you had to know. I was never taught in an engaging way. Social studies was always the difficult, boring subject that no teacher ever wanted to teach. The students never wanted to learn. We learned strict from PowerPoints and slides and textbook and workbooks and worksheets and stuff, that it was never engaging. So it was really difficult for me to like history as a kid, and even sometimes till this day, because I haven't had a teacher that has taught history in any fun or engaging way. Besides the one teacher I had him as a sophomore and senior teacher, and he was the one that discussed the elections with us. So that was actually good. But besides that, I've never had really a great history teacher that I can say, wow, like she made me love history. It was always difficult to understand. I had trouble with it, and it made it difficult for me to like history. So that goes with that. And this semester I really want to learn, like, how do I teach history to kids? How do I teach social studies to kids and make it engaging for them? Like, I want them to have a better understanding and better liking than I did as a kid. So I want them to be able to want to learn and be able to like the learning that goes along with learning history and learning social studies. I want to know good methods to teach. So what's the best way to teach about a war? What's the best way to teach about a famous historian? I want to know ways to teach history to make it fun and engaging for the students. And I don't want to use strict memorization tools. I think memorizing certain things is very good, but when it comes down to it, like memorization, you're not going to go anywhere in life if you just memorize. You have to learn the basics and you have to grasp the knowledge of what the concept of everything is, and what about World War II? Like, not just, World War II started here and ended here. No, where did that happen? Why did it happen? And all that information. So that was my history as a social studies learner, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.